Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down the entire job-seeking journey. We're going to give you a clear, step-by-step guide to get you from crafting that very first application all the way to handling a job offer.
Let me ask you something. Do job interviews totally stress you out? If you said yes, you are definitely not alone. Whether you're a native speaker or not, job interviews can be, well, pretty intense. But the real key to managing that stress is preparation, and that's exactly what we're going to focus on.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with crafting your application. Then we'll move on to decoding the job description. After that, it's all about preparing for the interview, mastering it, and finally figuring out how to navigate everything that comes after. So let's just jump right in. All right, first up, your CV and your cover letter. You got to remember, these are the very first things a potential employer is ever going to see, so making them clear, professional, and sharp is absolutely essential. And that's Amy Evans, a recruitment expert for the BBC. Her advice is golden, really, because you have to think about it. Recruiters are looking at dozens, sometimes hundreds of CVs. Yours has to stand out by being short, focused, and just easy to read.
Now, these aren't just suggestions. They're basically the rules for success. Simple things, right? Like using bullet points instead of these long, dense paragraphs. It makes your skills so much easier for a busy recruiter to scan. And probably the most important thing on this list, tailor your CV for every single job. It shows you've actually done your homework and you're genuinely interested.
And just as important is what you decide to leave out. In the UK and a lot of other places, your CV should be strictly professional. It's all about your qualifications and your experience, not your personal details. Now keep in mind, these norms can change depending on where you are, so it's always a good idea to check what's standard for the country you're applying in.
You know, I like to think of it this way. If your CV is the what, the hard facts of your career, your cover letter is the why. It is your one chance to connect all those facts to this specific job, this specific company, and let a little bit of your personality shine through.
And this, right here, this highlights the single most common mistake. Recruiters can spot a generic, copy-pasted cover letter a mile away. So taking that extra time to tailor it really shows that you're passionate, and trust me, it makes a huge difference.
Okay, let's talk about your secret weapon in all of this, the job description itself. Seriously, don't just skim it once and then forget about it. This document is your guide for your CV, your cover letter, and all of your interview prep. It's that important.
Think of it like a checklist that the employer has handed directly to you. The first part tells you what the job actually is, day to day. And the second part, it tells you who they're looking for. Your entire application is basically your effort to prove that you are the person they're describing in part 2.
You know how job descriptions are filled with all that corporate jargon, right? When they say they want someone who can thrive in a fast-paced environment, what they really mean is they need someone who stays calm under pressure. If they ask for someone who is details-oriented, it means they really can't afford careless mistakes. Understanding this helps you pick the perfect examples to showcase your skills. Okay, so you did it. Your application was fantastic, and you landed the interview. This is where preparation becomes, well, everything. The goal isn't to get rid of your nerves completely. That's probably impossible. But to channel that nervous energy into a confident, focused performance.
This checklist right here covers your foundation. It's all about doing your homework, researching the company, looking into who's interviewing you, and actually practicing your answers out loud. It helps build that muscle memory. And hey, don't forget the simple stuff, like planning your journey. You don't want any last-minute travel stress.
But here's a really crucial balancing act. You want to practice enough to feel confident, for sure, but you don't want to practice so much that you sound like a robot or that you've over-rehearsed. The real goal is just to be prepared, not to deliver some pre-written script. All right, now for the interview itself. For a lot of people, the biggest challenge is just talking about their own strengths and accomplishments. But the key isn't just what you say, it's how you say it, how you structure your answers. When you get a question like, "Tell me about a time you solved a difficult problem," having a simple framework for your answer can keep you clear, concise, and impactful. It stops you from just rambling on.
And that structure is called the STAR method. And honestly, it's a game changer. It helps you turn your experiences into these compelling little stories. You start with the situation, describe your task, explain the action you took, and then, this is the most important part, finish with the result. It proves you not only did something, but you got a positive outcome.
And hey, remember all that research you did before the interview?
Now's the time to use it. Casually weaving in something you know about the company's recent projects or their values shows you're not just looking for any job, you're interested in this job at this company.
And finally, let's talk about what happens after the interview. The main event is over, but the process isn't quite finished. How you communicate now, no matter the outcome, can leave a really lasting impression.
So if you get an offer, that's amazing. You can accept it, or you can choose to negotiate a bit. Just make sure you're clear and professional about it. Now, if you don't get the job, look, it's disappointing, I know. But whatever you do, don't burn that bridge. The way you handle it now might be what they remember when another role opens up.
And this brings us to a really critical piece of advice. Always, always ask for feedback. Yeah, rejection is tough, but the feedback you get is basically a free lesson on how to do better next time. It turns a negative into a real learning experience.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What is your absolute best STAR method story? That one powerful example that proves you're the perfect person for the job. Because having that story ready to go, that's the first step to absolutely mastering your next interview.